So I just got done watching the last episode of Dragon Ball Daima, aka episode 20, and I want to sit down and I want to talk about my feelings for the entire series. This is something that I've wanted to do since before the first episode even dropped. I wanted to sit down and talk about how I would end up feeling about Daima. I even tried to record this video before we even got to the end of Daima, around episode 18, because I feel like everybody had an opinion at the series, at least a set in stone one at that point. But there were 2 episodes left, and that would be totally unfair for me to do, because maybe there would be some things that would ultimately change my opinion. Whether that opinion would change in a positive or a negative way was up in the air, and I didn't want to make this video until then. I got a handful of bullet points right here on my computer that's going to help me just go through this in the easiest way possible. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right on into it. I think the best place to start with this is my overall feelings on Daima. What did I think of it? How do I feel about it? Overall, I feel mixed. I feel very, very mixed when it comes to Daima. There are a handful of things that I absolutely loved about Daima, even had me screaming in excitement or just had me so unbelievably giddy. But at the same time, there were a handful of things that had me like, come on, let's go. Or even some things that had me saying to myself, I am really shocked that they just ignored that entirely. And we're gonna go over every single one of those things as we continue to go into this video. So let's move on into the best part of this series, the animation. I think one of my favorite ways that someone put Dragon Ball Daima is that this is the anti-Dragon Ball Super, which I absolutely died laughing at. From what I recall correctly, and my sources are Kaiser Neko from TFS or Team 4-Star, the Dragon Ball Super production team started animation 5 months before it came out. So I think that explains a lot, and I mean a lot, about those beginning handful of episodes. But even going past those first 2 arcs, Dragon Ball Super had a dull and stale looking, I don't know, style to it. It felt like it was made for merchandise. It felt plasticky. It just wasn't handled the best when it came to Dragon Ball Super. There were some times where obviously the animation was absolutely beautiful. Anybody can point out any of the moments that involved Ultra Instinct, or even that one scene with Goku, Zamasu, and Goku Black. They came into town and they just cooked. But even then, those were a small majority of moments for Dragon Ball Super. Meanwhile, every single moment from Dragon Ball Daima, to me at least, looked absolutely beautiful, from the colors to the way these characters were designed. Every character design felt so Toriyama, including the main characters that we've been familiar with for years. Due to the nature of Toriyama's art style and overall just how it continued to progress after Dragon Ball, we never got an accurate adaptation of Toriyama's art style after Dragon Ball Z had finished its initial run. If you were to take a look at the concept art for all the characters for Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, you will see modern Toriyama's art design, and that was a style that we never got to see even when the movie came out, Battle of Gods. But this was Toei's golden opportunity to make sure that Toriyama's modern art style was felt and was appreciated, and oh my god, does it work so unbelievably well. The series didn't need 50 billion impact frames to make it look amazing or incredible, or it didn't need to go balls over the walls like some fight scene we'd see in season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen or anything like that. It's a colorful experience, it's a smooth experience, all in terms of animation, and I'm so happy that these episodes were riddled with nothing but top tier quality animation. However, something that these episodes were not riddled with was good pacing. To put it simply, I personally feel that a lot of the pacing during Dragon Ball Daima was horrendous at worst. The very first episode of Dragon Ball Daima is 32 minutes, which in this case is absolutely brilliant and is perfect. I would rather you lay down all the groundwork and all of the information that will be needed for the base entry level of this series, and then by episode 2 and 3, we're just into it. We're in the demon realm and we're just exploring and making our way and having this journey. But unfortunately, that's barely the case. And the main reason why I say that is because it's not until halfway into episode 3 where we actually set foot and land in the demon realm. I'm willing to give episode 2 a pass purely because it is the first time that we see everybody in the Dragon Ball cast deal with the fact that, oh my god, we've been turned into kids. What the heck is happening? And figuring out where we should go from here, and maybe even trying to figure out who caused this or what caused this. And I can understand why it took almost half of episode 3 to get into the demon realm, but I feel like they could have made that just a lot quicker, especially taking into consideration that once we actually do get into the demon realm, they stall the traveling aspect a lot. How do they do this, you might ask? Well, they do it with none other than the main method of transportation being taken away from them episode by episode by episode by episode. The amount of time that the series spent breaking a ship and having our cast find a new one was way too big. I don't give a flying what reasoning you have to break a ship. Just let them travel, or just let them go on the journey and not have it be stalled, and then do world building in the most annoying way possible. I don't want world building to happen as a byproduct of something that's going to stall the journey. I want world building to happen while the journey is naturally progressing. This was legitimately my least favorite part of Daima, and I'm really thankful that that was my least favorite part of Daima, because there are some other things in here that really could have soiled my experience. Please, if anybody watching this video agrees with me that the ship was the most annoying part of this series, let it be known down in the comments below. I really don't want to be alone on this. Moving on to an actual positive point now, whenever the series wasn't focusing on the ships being broken and them finding a new one, the series was full to the brim with things that made me say out loud, "That's so Toriyama." Whether it be the brand new characters that we were introduced to, some plot devices that we were introduced to, the gags, the world, whatever it may be, there were so many things that made me sit there and go, "That's so Toriyama," and I love it so much. And I don't know if that was due to the fact that Toriyama was partially influential on the writing of Daima, or if that's due to the team actually taking a good look at Toriyama's writing style and incorporating things that would make people go, "Oh my god, that is so Toriyama." It was genuinely such a fun and refreshing experience that was just not present at all throughout Dragon Ball Super's run, with Dragon Ball Super being more focused on the whole fighto aspect other than the actual journey and any Toriyama-isms that may be present. Dragon Ball Daima was just such a refreshing take. But I'm not here to talk about Dragon Ball Super. We're here to talk about Dragon Ball Daima and everything that it introduced within the series. And one thing that it reintroduced into the series and made officially canon is Super Saiyan 4. Let me be the first to say, I absolutely love this idea to make Super Saiyan 4 a canon thing in Dragon Ball. Super Saiyan 4 was the best thing that Dragon Ball GT ever did. Taking Saiyan biology and using that to make a brand new form for Goku and Vegeta to use was so awesome to see. Not to mention, it looks so goddamn cool. However, this does not mean I don't have my issues with how they handled it in Dragon Ball Daima. I'm about to say something that I never thought I'd actually say, but Dragon Ball GT did something better than Dragon Ball Daima, and that was how they introduced Super Saiyan 4. In Dragon Ball GT, Super Saiyan 4 had build-up. Not saying it was perfect or amazingly executed in and of itself, but I will say with 100% certainty that Super Saiyan 4 in Dragon Ball GT was better executed than it ever was in Dragon Ball Daima, with Neva just casually using his magic on Goku, causing him to transform into Super Saiyan 4. It made a lot of fans, including myself, speculate and theorize that, oh, the reason why we haven't seen this transformation of Super Saiyan 4 in anything past Dragon Ball Z, whether it be Super or any of the movies, is because it's only attainable via some form of magical influence. However, in the very last episode, they contradict that and change it entirely, with Goku explaining, yeah, sometime after Majin Buu, I just kind of casually stumbled upon it. I wasn't really sure if it would work though. What the man? I don't know who in the writing team decided to throw out the window the initial idea as to how Super Saiyan 4 came to be within Dragon Ball Daima, but they shot themselves in the foot with that one. And they did it again. They did not use the fusion bugs at all. Why would you introduce a plot device, a gimmick, whatever you want to call it, if you weren't gonna use it to begin with? You use the stamina bugs to heal up everybody at least once. Why wouldn't you use the fusion one? Look, I understand Goku lost them, and I understand that they were probably crushed under some amount of rubble due to the battle that they were all having, but I don't think anybody would have complained if somebody found the bag and was like, hey, I got some fusion bugs, you want to use them? You could have introduced a brand new Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Vegito, or a brand new fusion of Goku and Vegeta entirely. But no, instead we threw that all out the window. When Dragon Ball Daima was first announced to the public, they made the bold claim that this is an original work with the story and character designs all created by none other than Akira Toriyama. This was something that shocked a lot of people, especially taking into consideration that Toriyama only supervised Dragon Ball Super and was not heavily involved with it. But this, no, all Toriyama, created, original, all done by Toriyama, except for the fact that they made a bold-faced lie and told it to you straight in your face. Allow me to read something from an interview that came out during Dragon Ball Daima's runtime. At first, we only intended for him to be involved lightly, talking about Akira Toriyama, of course, but he became so invested in the project that he ended up handling almost everything. This was the first time we created a TV series from scratch, and I think Toriyama found it exciting. Unlike a movie which has time constraints, here we had more flexibility in developing the story, exchanging ideas multiple times. In fact, we started producing the anime before the story was fully completed. It was similar to a weekly manga serialization, keeping that sense of excitement alive. So right off the rip, we are just told that, hey, this was not something that was initially created by Akira Toriyama. This was something that was originally supervised by him, but then as time went on, he got more and more and more involved, making that bold lie just so that they could sell us on this new project, because we all saw how Dragon Ball Super went, and they damn well knew how the world accepted and overall took in Dragon Ball Super. Something else in that quote that really irks me is that they said that this was similar to a weekly manga serialization, which was not the case entirely and should not have been the case. If you are creating an original anime series, you have all the time in the world to make that story from start to finish before you even start animating it. There is absolutely no reason why this series should not have been fully completed before they started animating it. With a weekly manga serialization like Dragon Ball, for example, Toriyama was making it up on the fly. He didn't get a year break to try and come up with the rest of the story. He had to come up with it on the fly because he didn't have the rest of it planned out, and that's just how the ball just decided to keep rolling. But look, even though I just sat down for the last 12 minutes, primarily only going over the stuff that I disliked in Dragon Ball Daima, instead of talking about more things that I liked in Dragon Ball Daima, I can't sit here and lie to you all and tell you that I didn't enjoy Dragon Ball Daima. I loved every single episode of it. Dragon Ball was my gateway into the anime and manga world, and I'm always going to be so forever thankful for everything that it has introduced me to as a byproduct. And getting the chance to sit down and watch another and brand new Dragon Ball series means the world to me. I was so happy when Super got announced. I got the chance to grow up with a show of Dragon Ball, and now I got the chance to do it again. Maybe not grow up with it, but spend a good amount of time with it. And I treasured and enjoyed it every single episode of Dragon Ball Daima week by week by week. And here's the ultimate thing that I took away. This is Akira Toriyama's last work that he ever got the chance to work on. Why not treasure it the best that I can? Even if I'd come to have an issue with how much time they spent working or finding new ships, even if I have an issue with the fact that the fusion bug never ended up doing anything, even if I have issues with how Super Saiyan 4 came to be, why not enjoy everything that I possibly can? Because this is the last thing ever going to get from Toriyama. And I absolutely did. I was losing my mind so giddy when they finally gave Vegeta Super Saiyan 3, which, by the way, no reason for him to not get it at all. I'm so happy they did give it to him. And here's a little fun story for you that revolves around episode 18 and 19, aka the Super Saiyan 4 fight episodes. I was on a bit of a crunch for time both Fridays when those episodes came out. And so as a byproduct, I ended up watching both of those episodes in the shower, meaning that while I was washing my hair, I was screaming at the top of my lungs as well. I was home alone, by the way, when I saw Goku transform into Super Saiyan 4. That is an experience that I'm never going to forget, and I will always hold that so close to my heart, forever and always. And on that note, that's gonna be the end of this video. If you guys have agreed or liked anything that I've said in this video, please be sure to go ahead and drop a like down below and subscribe if you guys are new. And if you agreed with anything that I had to say about Dragon Ball Daima, whether it be positive or negative, let me know in the comments down below. And what was something that you loved about Dragon Ball Daima? I'm genuinely really interested to hear, because I haven't had the chance to talk to anyone about Dragon Ball Daima. So please, start up a conversation. I'm more than willing to participate. And with that being said, my name is Zegan Media, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take it easy.